Hello everyone. So I've been a member of the GameDev HQ Discord group for some time now, and I have since finished the Ultimate Guide to Game Development in Unity course from GameDev HQ, or GDHQ as it's known, which can also be found on Udemy. And I keep seeing the same issue brought up time and time and time again in the Discord group, anywhere from maybe twice a week to every second day to even maybe 2 or 3 times in the same day. And so I've got here a project that somebody sent to me who I've been helping out. And he had this issue, among other things, but he's got this issue, and so I figured I'd make a video about it and showing how to fix it, because it's not really that hard. It's not that complicated, although to a beginner, it might trip you up. And so this video is for super noobs. If you are anything other than a super noob, there won't be anything interesting here. But this is what the issue looks like. This is the issue we're going to be correcting today. If we grab our triple shot power up and start firing our lasers, look at how tiny they are and how offset they are. So if I'm on the right side of the screen, then we see that the lasers fire to the left of me towards the center. And if I'm on the right side of the if I'm on the left side of the screen, then they fire on the right side of me towards the center. So what's going on here? People ask, why are my lasers shrunk? Well, they're not actually shrunk. What's going on here is that they are off in the distance. If I pause the engine here and I grab one of these triple shot clones and I adjust the z-axis, we find that it comes up to us towards the camera. And if I go the other way, it goes off into the distance. If the problem was just that it was being shrunk, then this whoops, that's the position, my bad. We want the scale. This is what a size change looks like for scaling this. It's not exactly what's going on here, is it? So how do we correct this? How do we get our lasers to the forefront? And more importantly, why is this happening? Well, our X, Y, and Z positions are very important details to understand. The X position is the horizontal plane. So if I move this on the X position, it'll go left or right, depending on which direction I move it on the X. And the Y position is the vertical plane. So if I move the Y position, it'll go down or up, depending on which direction I move the Y. Now the Z, on the other hand, is the depth, at least anyway when the camera is oriented the way it is for a 2D project like this. Z is going to be depth. So if I move it one way, it comes up towards the camera, and if I move it another way, it goes down away from the camera and towards the center, because that's how depth works. It might not necessarily go to the exact center, but it'll go towards the center anyway, because depth. So how do we fix this? If we select our triple shot prefab in the project view, we will notice that our z-axis on the prefab is heavily off kilter. You are definitely going to want to set this to 0 so that the laser prefab is on the same z-axis as the player itself. If we see here, our player is set to z0. So that way our player and our triple shot laser prefab will be at the same depth level. But that's not quite all. What we're going to want to do now is open the prefab, and we find that the prefab has 3 children, each of which is a laser, respectively. And a child is an object that is attached to another object. So we see this little pull-down list icon here, and we can click it to collapse or expand the children that are attached to this object. And any changes that you make to the parent object, that's the object that the children are attached to, will be applied to the children as well. But the children still have their own respective values, and we see here that the child lasers are at 12.366 something or other, which is, again, very heavily off kilter. So we want to zero out the z-axis on each of the laser children in the prefab. And now we can click our little arrow here to exit out of the prefab. But this isn't quite going to do it either. It will mostly fix the problem. Our depth problem should be corrected, but when we grab a triple shot and start firing, look at this. Our lasers are not oriented quite right, are they? No. So, how do we fix this? If we go into our triple shot prefab, we just get our little lasers here with no real frame of reference to the ship, so that's not quite going to suffice. You might be able to do it in there with some patience and jerry-rigging, but a more direct way to go about this is to drag a copy of the triple shot prefab into the hierarchy so we have it in the scene to work with. Now it's already zeroed out, but we're also going to want to zero out our player. And the reason that we do this, that we zero out the player like this, is because when you instantiate a prefab, the 0, 0, 0 position, that is x0, y0, z0 position of the prefab will be relative to the location where it is instantiated. So if we instantiate our triple shot prefab at the location of the player, then 0, 0, 0 for the prefab is whatever location the player happens to be at the time. So when we instantiate our laser, if our player is over here, then over here is 0, 0, 0 for the prefab that we instantiate at the player's location. So putting the player to 0 and the triple shot power up to, whoops, not the triple shot power up, sorry, the triple shot laser prefab to 0, 0, 0 gives us a point of relativity at which everything will align for instantiation later on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to zoom in and expand the children in our triple shot so we can see the children. And we see our X and Y axes here. We're going to want to adjust these. So if we take our laser here, adjust on the X, and adjust on the Y so that it is in the position that we want it to be relative to our ship. And I think 7.9 should, or 0.79 should do it there, and 0.33 on the Y. So now we have corrected the position on this laser. And we're going to want to take note here of these positions. So we're going to want to apply minus 0.33 to the other one here as well for the y-axis so that it aligns. And we've got 0.79 for the x, which again is the horizontal. And this is another reason that we zero out the position on the player and the prefab when we're correcting this issue, because as long as the player is zeroed out like this, then the exact middle of the player is the 0 point for horizontal and vertical. So the center of the player, this is going to be 0 on the x, and this is also going to be 0 on the y, which gives us a very convenient way of mirroring things. So if we take this 0.79 on the x that we applied to this laser item, this laser child, and we apply 0.79 to this one, it's going to be on the same spot, but if we make it negative 0.9, it's going to be on the same spot on the other side of the center, because negatives go this way from 0 and positives go this way from 0. So 0.79 on the positive is here, and 0.79 on the negative is here, the same distance in the other direction. We wouldn't be able to do this very easily if we didn't have the player zeroed out like this. So now there's just the last laser here to apply. Just move it over a bit, move it down a bit, and I think that looks pretty good where it is. So now, the last thing we need to do, let's just zoom out here. We've got our laser positions corrected. So now let's take our triple shot parent object, which the children belong to, because this is the copy of the prefab. You always want to go up to the top level here with this sort of thing. If we go up to the top right in the inspector, we have this pull down list overrides. We're going to want to pull that down and click apply all. And what this is going to do, as the tooltip suggests, apply all overrides to prefab source triple shot. So what this is going to do is it's going to take all the changes we've made to this triple shot copy in the hierarchy and save them to the triple shot prefab in our project view assets. So we apply all, and now all of the changes we just made to these lasers here are applied to this prefab, and will take effect for all of the new triple shot prefabs that we instantiate. So we can go ahead and delete this object out of the hierarchy here. It's no longer needed. And if we press play to test the game, pick up our triple shot, look at that. Beautiful. Our lasers are working. And that is how you fix the issue of the triple shot prefab laser objects being way off in the distance. Have a good day, everyone.